Yes, guys, welcome back to the Cossy podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand new video. Thomas Partey and Julian Timber are both back in full training, and that means that they will be available for selection if Mikel Arteta decides to use them against Manchester City. The big question is the dilemma of selection. What Mikel Arteta should do and what will he do between Thomas Partey and Gino, but also most importantly between Julian Timber and a couple of options that he has got on his hands. We are talking Tomiyasu, who is back in full training as well. We are talking the likes of Kivio, who have been very good, and of course Alexander Zinchenko, who knows Manchester City in and out. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Let me know in the comment box below, what do you think Mikel should do, right? So what I thought we'll do in this video is just to pair up these players with each other and try to decide who is much better fit for the Manchester City game. Now, it's a game that is against the top level sides, right? I don't think you play much better players apart from Manchester City, Madrid, Bayern and Liverpool. I think those are the four sides right now in Europe that I would say if you're playing them, you're playing against the top side. I mean, you could throw a PSG in there, you could throw an Inter Milan in there who have been very exciting, but I still think if you're really to be talking about quality and top level players, we are still talking about Real Madrid, Bayern, Man City and Liverpool, right? So let's get into it. Let's start off with the first pair, and that is Julian Timber or Alexander Zinchenko. Now, I think this one might be an easy one for all of you. You're going to go Julian Timber, obviously, but it's actually not as easy as you would actually imagine. Why? Alexander Zinchenko has played against Manchester City, but then he's also played for Pep Guardiola and Man City. He will have some interesting, insights to add to this game, and of course, he knows the Etihad a little bit better than Julian Timber. And also, in terms of match fitness, Alexander Zinchenko obviously has been injured out for some time, but Timber's been out for longer, and that means that if you're choosing one player to play for you, I might actually go with Alexander Zinchenko in this one. I'll prefer Alexander Zinchenko out wide against Manchester City as compared to Julian Timber. Trust me, if Timber plays in that game, Man City will take advantage. They will try to expose Timber's lack of match fitness. And I don't think this is a game that Julian Timber should really be excited about. I won't be surprised for Mikel Arteta to be brave and pick him because he trusts him and all of us trust him as one of the best defensive options we have out wide, but also in the team as well. So I don't have a problem with Timber playing, him and Alexander Zinchenko, I'm going with Alexander Zinchenko. I think Zini is much fit better as compared to Timber, and also I think he knows the Etihad and he knows these players much better. One thing we have seen with Alexander Zinchenko this campaign is he has actually improved his defensive shape. Now, I'm not saying he's really defending like Jakub Kivio or Tomiyasu in wide areas, but what I'm saying is that what we saw last campaign when he fell away and when he was really poor defensively and he needed a lot of cover from Granit Xhaka and Gabriel, that has actually changed a little bit. If it wasn't for the injury that he suffered at the beginning of the campaign or during the mid-season there, I think he was one of our most important players yet again this campaign. So I'm going to go with Alexander Zinchenko over Julian Timber. And I hope my reasons actually make a lot of sense, because if they don't, then I'm absolutely wasting time right here. Next one is Julian Timber or Jakub Kivio. And we've got to agree on this too, that it is Jakub Kivio at the moment that should be playing against Manchester City. For me, Jakub Kivio's performance against FC Porto told us something very interesting. That although Arsenal play a very high line, even when we are exposed, even when we are trying to recover and teams are using pace against us and are pushing to play in behind us, we have players that have the pace but also the defensive calmness to actually deal with such situations, and those players are Saliba but also Jakub Kivio. Now, of course, you'll agree that Gabriel is not that kind of guy that you will trust when it comes to those situations. He would prefer to be a little bit backed up. And I think Jakub Kivio, one thing he has done, I really loved it when he played against FC Porto in the second half, in the second leg. He allowed Arsenal the liberty to go and press high and go and dictate the game in the opposition half, knowing that when that ball is lost and when Porto tried to break away, there are two players. On the right hand side there was Saliba, and then on the left hand side there was Jakub Kiwior. So I think with Manchester City, they will not try to break away. They will have possession a lot of the time. And who are we going to deal with? We're going to deal with Jeremy Doku. We're going to deal with I don't think Grealish will play in this game really. We're going to deal with Phil Foden, and we're also going to deal with Bernardo Silva as well. So if I look at Kiwior, can he deal with Bernardo Silva? I mean, he's too intelligent for him, but he can try. He can't deal with Phil Foden. Again, he's too intelligent. And I think he's definitely going to be able to deal with Jeremy Doku because he can stand his ground. So I would go with Kiwior because he's been the starting left back, but also he's got that ability to deal with players 1v1. I like that. Timber has got it as well, but we go with match fitness and we go with a guy that has proven to us that he's ready to do the job. It is Jakub Kiwior out wide. So I would still go with Jakub Kiwior right there. And I know this is going to make you angry, but I would still go with Jakub Kiwior. Now, Julen Timber or Takaro Tomiyasu. This is where now I'm second guessing, right? This is where I'm second guessing. When we played against Man City last season, Tomiyasu was given a chance to play at right back, and he really fumbled that chance. But I cannot forget that he's one of the best defenders 1v1 in this league, and we cannot forget that he has dealt with players like Mo Salah, Marcus Rashford more effectively than anyone in this Arsenal side. What do I mean? What I mean is that Tomiyasu, for me, is ahead of Timber right now. Not in terms of ability and not in terms of quality, but in terms of having played more games. He's been with Japan, then he came back, then he picked up some little injury, and now he's back going again. We know that he always has those short-term spells out on the sidelines, but we know the quality he possesses as a player. We know he is actually good. So I think with Takaro Tomiyasu and Julen Timber, it is you choose your own pain, right? And you choose your own risk. They're both risks in my opinion. Timber has not played for a long time. Long time. Takaro Tomiyasu has also been out wide, but both of them quality players, man. Really quality players at left back. I think this really depends. If Mikel Arteta thinks that, we might see a Bernardo Silva or Phil Foden and Jeremy Doku on the flanks, then I would prefer Tomiyasu to play or Kiwior to play. But if Mikel thinks that it's not going to be the wings that Manchester City will be using, then I'll prefer to see an Alexander Zinchenko. But in this case, again, between Julen Timber and Takaro Tomiyasu, I think we go with Takaro Tomiyasu here. I think we go with Takaro Tomiyasu and wait another extra 8 days for Julen Timber to make his appearance, because trust me, he is the key to beating Bayern Munich. He is the reason why Arsenal have a chance in that Bayern Munich home and away fixture. If we can get him fit, if we can line him up at the Emirates Stadium and line him up at the Allianz Arena, and then probably go through and play a Madrid or a Manchester City in the semis, I do not even care if he doesn't play again. Right, so I would still go with Takaro Tomiyasu in this one. I think he would be much better ready and much better fit for this fixture. Now, Jakub Kiwior has been as well another exciting talent that we have seen. So if we don't play Julen Timber, do we go with Jakub Kiwior or Alexander Zinchenko? I think this depends. With Zinchenko, we know that he's got that attacking output that Arsenal really get from him. And we know that he's one of the best inverting and inverted fullbacks in the world right now. So I've seen John Stones do it. I've seen Joao Cancelo. I think Joao Cancelo is the master at that. But Zinchenko, man, he is unbelievable. Last season, his impact on this team, if he had not dropped off, and probably drops off because the team gets destabilized by that Saliba injury. But if he doesn't drop off, if he doesn't suffer that massive, down the drain, performance, maybe Arsenal would be champions. So in this one, this is what I'll prefer, right? I'll prefer Jakub Kiwior to start ahead of Alexander Zinchenko. and then for us to see Alexander Zinchenko come onto the pitch around the 70th minute. So how we beat them in the first leg was this. Mikel Arteta's brilliance made sure that we are able to deal with anything thrown that would be thrown at us, and they really did throw things at us, but we did match their energy throughout the 90 minutes, or probably around 70-75 minutes. So after that, he brought on Thomas Partey, brought on Takehiro Tomiyasu. He made a few changes, and he decided to go for it. And eventually, it actually paid off, because the introduction of Gabriel Martinelli made sure that Arsenal grabbed a goal, and Manchester City really fumbled, and we won the game, right? So I think it's going to be different at the Etihad. They're at home, they're confident, they have not lost the game with Rodri, and it's going to be an interesting factor in there, right? But I still think Kiwior starts this game, and Zinchenko, if we are still 0-0 or leading 1-0 or still 1-0 and they're leading or still 1-1, Zinchenko comes in around the 75th minute to try and grab us a winner. Now, between Jakub Kiwior and Takehiro Tomiyasu, this is a difficult one, right? This is a very difficult one. Because Tomiyasu has just signed a new deal at Arsenal. And that highlights the importance of this guy in the side, but also it highlights the quality he has as a player. I don't think Arsenal have signed him on a new long-term deal to eventually sell him in the summer. I think this rules out all the chances of him leaving Arsenal in the summer. He's one of Arsenal's most important players and most important defenders. Kiwior has been fit almost all season, and he has shown us that he's defensively astute. Takehiro Tomiyasu, there's no question about his defensive ability and his defensive quality as well. So where do I place my bet, right? Where do I place this my bet here? I really love Kiwior, but if Takehiro Tomiyasu is really fit, if Tomiyasu is really fit, I'm going to go with Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu starts ahead of Kiwior, and maybe if we try to manage his injury and manage his minutes, then Jakub Kiwior can come in later and finish the job, right? So I would still go with Tomiyasu starting, and then Jakub Kiwior finishing the job a little bit later on. Now in midfield, this is where Arsenal will have to make a big decision between Thomas Partey and Jorginho, not only in this game, by the way, but also during the whole 10 game period during the back end of the season. Now, this one is difficult, right? This one is very difficult. Thomas Partey looks rusty. If you've seen him play or come on in some of the few games, or I think 1 or 2 games that he's actually come on, he really looks rusty. But also, Jorginho has been really good. He has been giving us another way of playing football, that is allowing Declan Rice to get into the interesting positions and just channeling energy from the back line into Odegaard and Declan Rice. That's why these guys have been scoring goals and creating chances a lot, right? I think with Jorginho, he's got the ability to be your Rodri, and he doesn't give you the full package of a Rodri because he doesn't have the legs, he doesn't have the tackling ability, he doesn't have the positioning that Rodri has, best in the world, of course. Spain, you'll understand. But what I mean is that Jorginho is so central, and he's not afraid to receive the ball, and he's not afraid to take a risk, and he's not afraid to take care of the ball. He's such a very good, very good keeper of the ball. He takes the care of the ball very well. Now, against Man City, there is a possibility that Jorginho could be overrun, and this is why there is a debate here. Otherwise, we shouldn't have a debate on who starts, right? But there is a possibility that Jorginho could be overrun by Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Kovacic. That those three could overrun Jorginho. And you don't want that, right? Of course, there would be Declan Rice who would be trying to support him in the deeper areas and, try to maybe form, a double pivot, or at times even, a triple pivot. I don't know whether that actually is a thing, a triple pivot, by having Ben White invert to the midfield. But what I'm trying to mean is that you need the legs. You need the physicality. It's going to be a do or die game. So here, although Jorginho has been informed, although Jorginho has the match fitness, I'm going to go with Thomas Partey. I think it's Partey that can match the energy Pep Guardiola is going to channel in that team that he will set out. It's Partey that will give us the reassurance that, hey guys, go and do whatever you can in midfield. I'm ready to cover. Just imagine Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Kovacic, and Rodri in that midfield. It's going to be a lot of running. You have the likes of Kevin De Bruyne who don't need run, but they will make the ball run at a terrific speed. And then you have the likes of Phil Foden who've got the ability to make the ball run, but we run. It's deadly. It's absolutely deadly. It's frightening, the quality Pep Guardiola has in this side. So I'm going to go with Thomas Partey there, right? I'm going to go with Thomas Partey there. We will do a starting 11 who starts ahead of who in this. Of course, in the game we'll do a complete starting 11. But I wanted us to touch those two interesting positions. The left back position that has Mikel Arteta thinking of all these options, and of course that midfield that of course Mikel has options right in there. He's got El Neni. Of course, I don't expect to see him. But of course, he's got Jorginho, Partey, and Declan Rice. He can decide to play Partey, Declan Rice, and Kai Havertz. He can decide to play Odegaard, Kai Havertz, and Partey. He can decide to do anything as long as he thinks that will win them the game at the Anfield. Speak to you right in the next one. Hit the like button. We have done a masterpiece on Kai Havertz and the rise of Kai. So if you want to watch that video, it's already live on this channel. Make sure you check it out after watching this one. I will really appreciate.